What's going on, fam? Back again, another show. Today we're in a different set, trying something a little different. So the topic today, see, here's the thing. When did ratchetness become acceptable in our community, and how do we make it unacceptable? Now, I can't take it, and I don't know about these two brothers here, but we're going to dive in, and again, we're going to have a little fun with it, but at the same time, we're going to be serious too. Carl, tell me, what is your definition of ratchetness?
I guess it's just more so presenting yourself or not presenting yourself in a acceptable standard to normal society. And, okay, so I'll give you an example. House shoes at the gas station, or at Walmart. Walmart is the one place. Now, Kroger, they usually put shoes on. I don't know why. But Walmart, you can wear pajamas, you can wear your house shoes, you can do all kind of, crazy stuff.
Kroger is a step above Walmart.
That's what I said.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. But maybe that's like, Kroger's a standard. I don't know. But I guess going places that when you're wearing your night clothes, why? I mean, it's like you said, I know we're going to get into it, but when did that become acceptable? Present yourself well. What happened to just being presentable in public?
See, so B, it's on you. Because you're closer to the age range that we seem to see.
My brethren, you want to group me with?
I'm just saying.
My definition is, I'm going to borrow out the Walmart example. You have the bonnet at Walmart, but if you come to Target, we look like this. So I think it's the taboo, right? It's the taboo. It's not what you expect to see when you come out the house, but it's the, okay, this is what we're doing today. So I think anything out the perceived norm you want to have, or like you said, just normal presentation, that's going to fall into that category. So call it taboo.
See, there you go with all this education. But I'm going to tell you, I found a definition that it had to be a black person that came up with this. The definition I found was a disposition characterized by foolery that is more tacky than ghetto and is used to describe a person who is boisterous, unruly, and has overt confidence or defiance.
Detailed.
And everything that y'all said goes into that.
Now, what did it say? It says more what than ghetto?
More tacky than ghetto.
It's about it.
Now, that should, jeez.
See, they went in.
Because ghetto used to be the standard. That was like the bottom standard. It was like if somebody said you was ghetto. Now you telling me I'm ghetto. Well, at least I'm not ratchet. I guess.
Hey, and they owning it though. That's my issue with it. People are owning it.
Yeah.
Because I think the term gained popularity, early 2000s, 2010, and a lot of it had to do with the reality shows and all this other stuff. So I have to wonder, how did we get here? Because think about it. Back in the 60s and the 70s, I think that's when we were ascending and black pride and all this other stuff. And then it's like we apexed in the 80s. In the 90s, we started tailing off, and now we at ratchet. So, B, how did we get here?
So like you said, I think a big part, and we talk about this all the time, social media, like reality TV, was the ratchet TV. If I jump across the couch to fight Carl, that was entertainment, right? And that's what was making money,
So
getting
you watch
advertising.
ratchet TV?
No, not
You've
even.
never watched a housewife show or Love and Hip Hop? None of that stuff?
No. It's not my cup of tea. It might be, it's just not my speed, But you know where I'm getting at. It's that type of entertainment. You got the ladies jumping, or the guys jumping across the couch fighting. And that's entertaining to a lot of people, right? You get views. Views is money. Ratchet sells. So I think once it started becoming a profitable enterprise, let's run with it. Now, does that go back to the Walmart thing? That's somebody on their own. I don't know what the gain is in that.
Have you dealt with somebody that's been ratchet?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, but I'm young, so I have my learning experiences, right? And you have the midlife crisis. I joke and say there's the quarter life crisis when you dibble and dabble in that world and you learn some stuff. Like I'm open, I bump my head, so yeah, I've been there before.
So what was your reaction? Did it make you feel uncomfortable? Because that, to me, that's a true sign of ratchetness when, as a black person, if you feel uncomfortable with somebody's behavior. then you saying to yourself, damn, I can't believe this. You're embarrassed to be black because you see them acting a fool.
It's an embarrassment, and it's also like a type of like confusion. You know, it's like really I would expect more, and then it's like the same time like this is not. I don't want to be in this environment at all. So it's like a shell shock and a mix of emotions.
Because what you end up saying is, we don't all act like this.
Yeah, you do. You try
Never
to,
mind.
you try to like say, well, that's not me. But to your point, let me ask this. You said it's entertaining to some people. When you found yourself in that ratchet situation, did it start off as entertaining and then got confusing?
100%. Yeah. Because it's the taboo again. Because
So
a lot
we
of stuff,
like it. So I think initially,
I see where you're going. It's
that's
some
what I'm saying.
engagement.
Initially, it's cute because, granted, I think we all grew up in the city, so we knew, ghetto, and particularly, we're from Detroit, so Gene, when you and I were coming up, Detroit really didn't have the greatest reputation. So a lot of times people would say it's ghetto. Now we didn't live in the ghetto, but if somebody said you were acting ghetto,
You knew what it meant.
you knew what it meant. There was some things that would happen. Now a lot of times those things are entertaining. You got people that barbecued on the front porch or on the.
That's the east side, though. We from the west side. So,
But I'm saying,
okay,
That's a different episode. You
okay,
might want
West Side was in on the walkway on the sidewalk.
we had class.
Yeah, so there you go.
put in the backyard. There you go.
So people would say, "Oh, well, that's gay." They look at them, they so gay, but it was kind of like, ha ha ha, Da, da, da. But then after a while, you say, "Okay, they could really go in the backyard. They could, they don't really have
A little
to be
tired of
over,
this.
Yeah. That was after they didn't want to give you a hot dog or whatever.
Exactly.
So you know what is funny to me though is that ratchetness has transcended where it's not an ethnic identity. It's not a generation. It's not a gender. It just crosses everything. You can be white and be ratchet. You can be black and be ratchet. You can be old. You can be young.
Yeah.
You can be Hispanic and be ratchet. So, Carl, to your point, what you were saying earlier, the house shoes outside, the pajamas, you see that across the board. The bonnets, I don't know when bonnets became a fashion accessory. I was in the airport years ago, saw this young lady, she had on some black and red J's, the black and red tracksuit, and a black and red bonnet.
just traveling.
It's coordinated.
Really?
There you go.
But it's not an
coordinated.
accessory, so that's my thing. And then you talk about worst case ratchetness is the boisterous part. When you've been out somewhere and you've seen somebody, whether it's at a restaurant, Walmart, or wherever, that just goes off. I was at Walmart the other day. Young lady was going off and she's telling them they need to know how to customer service people. You working here, you need to do better. I turn around, she had on a bonnet, she had on some pajama pants and some flip-flops. And she had a kid with her. So that's my thing too. When we see this type of behavior, if children are with somebody being ratchet, you're going to end up with the little 3-year-old girl that's twerking, So,
Again, it starts out as entertainment.
so they call her into the, come on in and do that
Come
dance.
on in and do that dance.
Okay.
And again, we came up with it. We saw different people that exhibited those behaviors. But then you say, typically you go back into your house and your parents are like, "Don't you do that."
Yeah. You might laugh at it, but
You might laugh at it, but you
know
catch
better.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it is, that there used to be a delineation of you can see somebody else do that, but that's not what we do. You got to recognize that as entertainment. So I think that's how these TV shows started out. It started out as, okay, yeah, you might see a couple people fighting, and it's like, you can't think that this is real. I guess maybe when in their mind, when they put it together, it's like people really can't think this is real life. It's just, it's reality, but this isn't real life. These are just people put in this controlled environment, given this script, because it's particularly with the housewives. I don't like Brandon, he don't like me. But all of a sudden, we're gonna go to lunch, and so we could talk about why we, I don't have to have nothing to do with him. If we don't, why we got to go to lunch? And then it always ends up, in a food fight or somebody
Threw a
throwing
drink
drinks
and
on somebody.
flipped over a table.
And I'm like, that's not real life. If you know that y'all don't vibe, there's really no reason for y'all to get together.
And it's
But
almost. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that's what this has turned into. So now it spills over into society. Okay, I know I don't like this person. They don't like me, but we need to talk it out. Why? Just
I think when you look at that aspect, it's almost like for reality TV, it's turned into a genre.
Yeah.
Ratchetness, and you want to be more ratchet so you can get more views, so on and so forth. Number one, it's not cute.
No.
And I think one of the negative side effects of it, I don't think there are any positives, but I think about being stereotyped. Because if you're out to dinner with, your girlfriend or whatever, and somebody's acting a fool and they turning it up and they ratchet or whatever, then you feel embarrassed. But at the same time, I know for me, one of the first things I think of is you wonder why people treat you the way they treat you because of your behavior. And I have to think, when we talk about historically, and how in the 60s and the 70s, with this civil rights movement and black pride, so on and so forth, we were, proud to say, I'm black. We knew that we were descendants of kings and queens. But to me, it almost feels like now the ratchetness is like in opposition to us being proud about being black. Because you ain't got to turn up. Turn up for what? Oh, that's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you
Lil
just
Jon.
Let's turn it down for what?
Turn that. There you go. All
close,
right.
close.
It was close. Remix. But to that, and I think I wanted to be clear too, when we're saying 60s and 70s and we have black pride, and I don't think that being non-ratchet or anti-ratchet is showing out for white folks. Because what you get is the backlash. So if you go back to, and I know a lot of people don't want to say this name and talk about what he was talking about, but Bill Cosby, when he was saying for the young men to pull your pants up and for the young ladies not to have a whole bunch of babies out of wedlock and get on welfare and all this stuff, he got a lot of backlash for that. Basically saying you're not understanding these young people, and you don't understand, the society of today, and you're trying to put your value systems on these. And it's like, okay, I see what you're saying in terms of, trying to just criticize without actually teaching them. But now, like you said, it's a lot of, you can teach somebody something. For example, the pants sagging. Well, that comes from prison. They let you know if you want to have sex with another man in prison, you wear your pants down. And dudes is like, yeah, whatever. And they still doing it. Now, whether it came from that or not, whatever, it just doesn't present well. I don't want to see your drawers. And I mean, not like the top of your drawers, not the little Calvin Klein. I'm talking about the
crack.
everything.
Yeah, you have to put on show.
And you walking around, and you walk around like that on purpose. Like you said, young ladies with the bonnets on purpose. I didn't just run out to get some milk for the baby or a box of Pampers. I'm out, I'm chilling. This is my outfit.
And before you went outside, you said, let me grab my bonnet.
Let me grab, and you said the color coordinated one with my outfit. So those are the things. It's like, I get where, you don't want to just chastise people. But at the same time, you can't fall into that and just say, this is me, love me or leave me.
Because that's what they're doing. I think, B, let me ask you, you think that ratchetness is an organic opposition to quote unquote success in the black community?
I think nowadays in the social media world, I think it's like apples and oranges, right? Because going back to the reality TV, yeah, that got millions of viewers Sunday night and all that money, right? But now you have it on TikTok, Instagram, and you can become an influencer based off of you creating a ratchet personality. And how many influencers are doing that right now? So I think they're different lanes, because somebody said, I can act like this on Instagram for one post a day, get 10,000 views, and how does that translate to money? That's my paycheck for a week.
But
and
see,
then guess what? You can be normal.
Though.
You can be normal, just like we are right now. But that gets sold out to a younger kid that says, oh, this is reality. So let me go act like this just because this is what I'm scrolling and seeing all day. But whole time, this guy's over here acting like that. whole time he's using that just to profit off of it.
Okay, so on the flip side, for people that they acting like that for monetary purposes, but what about the people that ain't? And they will tell you they own that ratchetness badge.
And that's
yeah,
the
I'm
one
ratchet.
that's I've been scrolling these TikTok videos all day, just internalizing it. And then when I go outside, let me just act out what I regurgitate. You know, whoop, I seen this guy fighting, so you stepped to me the wrong way. I seen the video.
I think it's the extreme of keeping it real going wrong. Because
You thank Dave Chappelle for that one.
you gonna pop off because you think you being ratchet. Next thing you know, you get arrested.
But you saw that skit never worked out.
So,
It never worked out.
Because then what's the difference between popping off and being ratchet?
Are they not? Are they not one and the same?
You have to think, because I think sometimes popping off, anybody, in my opinion, can do that. Because I always feel like sometimes you got to be profane to be profound. You know, you might be a situation where you're the calmest person in the world, but you get into a spot where somebody takes you there and you pop off. I mean, does that mean that you ratchet, or it just means you got ratchet
No, I
tendencies?
think your limits have just been pushed.
I think, like you said, somebody will take you there. But why are you being taken there? Are you being taken there because, you know, you ordered a 6-piece and they gave you 5,
You go over there.
and now you want to throw the chicken back at them?
Yeah, that's
I
where
mean, you
cross
know,
the
because
line.
you those are the type of things where it's like you need some anger management. You know, there's something else
Hey,
going
you just
on.
like your chicken.
No,
You need to get some help for that.
You need some help for that. But what you'll do is you'll do it because, like you said, you've seen it somewhere else. You've seen it on, you know, one of the reality shows or whatever. And then you're going to go tell people, I showed them. You know, it's like, instead of saying, hey, you know, y'all gave me 5 pieces instead of 6. So now you ought to give me an extra piece just for the inconvenience. I mean, that's how it used to be handled. But I don't want to. And then the thing is, I don't want to go off on people, particularly at a restaurant. I'll just use that example. I'm gonna go off, and then I'm still gonna eat the food that you give me.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's a fear unlocked.
You proved your point. So guess what? I got my food. I got my 6-piece of chicken.
Yeah, and they proved the point too.
Yeah, that chef might have hooked you up.
Nah, right. You got the hookup. I gave you a special piece.
With some seasoning on it.
Yeah.
People crazy.
B, let me ask you, in your situation where you have been and you've seen people that have gotten ratchet, have you ever been able to identify with the ratchetness? Because sometimes you see stuff and you like, okay, I can understand that, but maybe you took it too far.
I can understand. Yeah, I did that. I can say I can understand, but can I like get in there and get in the ring with it? No, I think
Well, give us an example of some ratchetness that you done seen. Because see, I know a lot of people, fam, y'all looking at Brandon and y'all probably like, okay, he looked like he 12, which he does. But
the genes. Thank my parents for that.
Brandon got a life. So I know you got some ratchet stories.
So okay, I'll put one out there, and again, you know, you can say the ratchetness can be entertaining, right? But it gets to a point, and then once it peaks and ends, it's not fun anymore. And I like to bump my head and learn. So, you know, it was a relationship when I was younger, and it ended. And said person wanted to take some materials to the windows of my vehicle. So, you
Shout out to Jasmine Sullivan.
exactly. You know, I thought that was just a song. So again, it's like, oh man, this kind of wild ride is a little fun, but when it gets too, you know, the pot gets a little too hot, that's when I say, oh no, this is not the fun anymore that you were seeing. But you know, you're enticed in the beginning, the taboo, yada yada. But now, fast forward later, when stuff is coming to a head and my car looks in danger, abort mission, basically.
It's a car though, man. Did she bust your windows out, slash your tires?
She tried to.
She tried. You stopped her?
Well, I got away quick enough. The car was safe.
See,
luckily.
here's the thing. Don't say that. Don't say it's a car. Don't do
Exactly.
that.
You-
Don't do
For
that.
those that know me, it's more than a car, you know.
Because that's what happens. It's like, oh, it's just material thing. But it's my material. And I'm the one that's got to deal. Okay, so another example. Same type of thing was going on. Guy I know. He's messing around with this chick. He ratchet, doing things to his car and so forth. And I said, why are you dealing with this? And he said, you know, I like him a little crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
You can't excuse that. Though.
but Well, at first I was like, that's crazy. But then I thought about it, was like,
Yeah, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
real. Men do like a little bit of, you know,
a
Opposites
little
attract.
spice.
just a little
Little
spice.
razzle
Just a little
dazzle.
spice.
There you go, a little razzle dazzle. Because I've always said I'm not attracted to no woman that's smiling all the time. I just, what you smiling all the time for? Either you kind of slow or you do this to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like
So
I ain't
you don't
special.
feel special.
I don't feel special. There you go. I don't feel
I
special.
was like, you a little too
Because I
happy.
think I'm a funny dude. So if I can make you, well, if you laughing for everybody, wait a minute, what's going on here? So you got to have a little bit of that. But when it gets to the point where you're like damaging things that I got to pay for, and then gonna come back and like, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah, but if you let her back in, that's on you.
yeah, well,
See, guys,
Hey,
because what's the
living you
shelf
learn.
life on that? You let them come back
Living you
once, you let them
learn.
come back twice.
but I
What?
don't want you to get to that far where you start damaging my stuff. Because even though I don't let you back, I still got to pay for it.
Yeah,
So that's a lesson learned.
yeah. There you go. We was just talking about fear of failure. So
That ain't even failure. That's
I mean, it's a failed relationship,
it's a
but
it's a fair.
it's
But I want to learn before it costs me thousands. I mean, I want
That's
to.
fair, that's
If
fair.
I say I'm out, I done bought a couple of bracelets or perfumes or dinners. Okay, a few $100s, whatever. But when you start getting estimates, that's
and you got to call a mechanic.
yeah,
That's a
no,
problem.
No.
I want to get to how we can come back from this. Because if there are lessons to be learned from being ratchet, how do we express this to our community? Because quite honestly, no offense to any other ethnic group, but we not here for them. We here for us.
Yeah, fair.
So, what would be a suggestion be that you would have in order for us to come back from this ratchetness? Because it's going to take a minute. We just didn't get here overnight. So, we got to get some solutions out here.
If somebody were to come to me and ask me that question, my biggest approach would say, look at yourself in the mirror right now and then go, and if you could visualize yourself in 5 to 10 years, how do you want to see yourself? Do you want to see yourself Bill Cosby pants hanging down, you looking crazy, you no offense to Walmart, but that Walmart shopper you see.
We picked on Walmart
Do you,
a lot, bro.
I mean,
but you
I
know
might
what
be
I'm
there
saying.
later
You
on
don't.
with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you
Yeah.
want to be that person? And 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna guess the answer is like, no, I want to be presentable. If you're a guy, I'm sure you want to attract ladies, and looking a certain way is not gonna attract ladies. Same with.
But real quick though, we could say we not just pigeonholing women with ratchetness, because there's some
it's the guy-
ratchet dudes out there
that's
too.
what I'm saying.
And
That's what I'm
maybe
talking
it's
to
some
that
women
guy.
that like ratchet dudes. He ain't got no job. He got a credit score of 3. So hey,
How's the credit score 3?
listen,
But
man, it's non-existent. That's my point.
But I get what you're saying. But yeah, for both sides, it's still like that, like the credit score thing. 10 years from now, do you want to have a 3 credit score or whatever you can get? You know what I'm saying? And if you think well into it, I think a lot of people are gonna say, no, I want to be presentable. I want to be established. I want to be well-to-do. I want to be impressionable. I want to, have the kids say, oh, I want to be like that guy. And not the reality TV, I'm jumping off the wall trying to fight Carl because we didn't have an agreement 2 weeks ago.
I think one of the ways, and Carl, going back to your point too, is finding a respectful way to articulate yourself. Because a lot of times we know that when you're emotional, you act on that emotion, you're not thinking clearly.
True.
You just, that's your instant reaction to whatever situation you're in. But if you sit back and think about, well, how can I respectfully articulate? You ain't got to go off on the people at the restaurant, speak to a manager, you talk to them the right way. 9 times out of 10, you'll get your issue resolved. So, I mean, Carl, what's one of the resolutions that you can think of to bring us back
It's just
from ratchetness?
I don't know. It's so difficult because it's so prevalent. But I think that we have to get back to accepting or having an acceptable standard, and that's on both sides, for men and women.
So where does that start at?
I guess what Brandon was saying, you got to start with yourself. Like, okay, what am I going to accept? Not just what I want to be like. If I say this is where I want to see myself, what am I going to accept in relationships? And that would be with men or women. So if you got a friend that you know every time y'all go out, let's say it's two guys, every time y'all go out, you got to basically make sure that you strapped up because he going to start something over something minimal. Do we really need to be going out?
See, and that's one thing that one of the solutions I was thinking about was uh, keeping ratchetless people in your circle.
Absolutely.
Somebody that you
Helps.
can learn from.
Absolutely.
You know, and they, hey man, you ain't got to do this. Okay, cool. That's one thing that we can work on. Another one I came up with, and this is just me being emotional. Sometimes you just got to shut the hell up, and you ain't got to just pop off and let people know who you are. Now I've been guilty of doing that a time or two. I think we all have. Well, I don't know about you, B, because family, we got to take the halo off his head because
Hey, I've had my days too. I've had my days. I'm human.
he don't even sound right saying that.
No.
Do you believe that?
No.
We'll talk
But
on
it's okay.
camera. I can give you some stuff.
Well, maybe he needs to keep his persona the way it is. So, you know, but
Okay.
that's
But we
Thank you,
do
Carl.
have something else that I want to jump into. Fam, we got a few folks here in the studio with us, and think a couple of them might have some questions. So, you know, if we got questions, I would like to go ahead and I think we got a young lady right here that's got a question.
Hi, everybody. I do have a question. Just to kind of keeping it real, a lot of times when people refer to the word ratchet, they are referring to black women. And I know you said we can talk about men, we can talk about, people of other ethnicities, but a lot of times it's solely dedicated to black women. And I know some of you all, you all have, you're married, you dated black women. Some of you all have daughters. So, what would you say, I guess, to those daughters or the women in your life if you notice them, showing ratchet tendencies? Because, like you said, a lot of times, that little bit of ratchet seems to be okay. But then, we're having this conversation now. So I want to know, like, what, as black men, what would you say to them if you notice them, quote unquote, being ratchet or acting ratchet?
B, you go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll have to hypothetically speak. I'm bachelor, no children. So, but
it's a
my
plug.
approach.
That's a plug, y'all.
You gotta let me answer the question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But the way my thought process is now is married with kids. You know, I have a wife. I will hope to best that my wife is the inspiration for the daughter per se, right? And hopefully she could communicate with me at that time. But I will hope to say, is your mom doing that? Because my estimation, you're gonna follow your mom, right? You might follow social media, whatever, but is mom doing that? Don't you want to be like mom? Because you're probably not gonna want to be like me. I'm the guy, so I will hope that mom can help me out really and model into what she should stray away from. Because a little bit, it's not gonna kill anybody. That's how we are. We all got a little bit in us, so that 1, 2, 3% is cool, but hopefully I can lean on a good partner and be like, okay, course correction there, and we can go from there and see from that. Because I'm not gonna label my daughter as ratchet or even wanna put that out there for her. So that's the way I would look at it.
I think for me, I would say a conversation needs to take place. I mean, if you know you dating somebody that has ratchet tendencies, or your wife, your girlfriend, whatever the case may be, again, speaking in a respectful way, letting them know, hey, babe, I mean, if you at home, you can do whatever you want to do at home.
Yeah.
But, again, having that conversation with them, and, hopefully they'll be able to receive it. So, Carl?
Yeah. I mean, the conversations have to take place, but I'll just start by saying this. My wife is a ratchet. So, and I have daughters. So that example would not be pushed,
Are you saying that because they here in the studio, or?
Yes. No,
See, now Carl got the plug he throwing out there.
no. But I'm saying that because some men will marry a woman who's ratchet and then expect it to change. Like, okay, we married now. Now it was cool when we was out there in the streets and we was doing whatever. We was the Bonnie and Clyde thing. But now we're married with children, so you're supposed to change that behavior. Well, that's how you got her.
Yeah.
So what did you think was gonna happen? If that's who she is, that's who she is.
Is it too late?
I mean, if that may be who she is, and I have had friends who have married that ratchet woman, and 10 years later they're like, well, how I get here? Well, I mean, that's who she was when
One,
you got her.
one
Because
plus
you
one
saw it when
equals
they
two.
got
You
married.
saw it when you got right. So it's like, I mean, I don't. It is what it is. But if like you said, if your daughters are going off the mother's example and she's not, then typically they aren't going to be either. But if they do show ratchet tendencies, the conversation will be, where you getting this from?
And
Exactly.
that's the
Who you
social
trying to
media.
improve? What
And
is this for?
hopefully they will be honest with you. Because a lot of times, as a father, kids are gonna tell you when they're young what they think you want to hear, not necessarily the truth.
And typically you can look at their friends and see where they're getting it from.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
for
that'll tell
sure.
you.
For sure. Do we have any other questions?
I have a question. So, you all mentioned ratchetness and ghetto, and using those terms interchangeably. So, I think in our society, amongst Black people, we've come to a point where we accept ghetto. We see certain things and we say, "Oh, that's ghetto." So, do you think that when we talk about being ratchet, we'll get to a point where we say, oh, they're just being ratchet, and then we're moving on to something else, because what's the difference if you're ghetto, and if we classify you as being ratchet, does is that a step above, and being ghetto is now okay? Or are we going to move to something else outside of being ratchet and not even deal with being ratchet?
Carl?
That's a good question,
Yeah.
because
Are you saying
in
that
your
because that's your wife that asked the question? Or
yes,
okay.
but it's still a good question.
Nonetheless.
But like you said in your definition, ratchet is a step above or below, however your perspective is, ghetto. So do you get to a point where, and I think you can, if you don't, as we're having this discussion now, if you don't say, okay, enough is enough, and this is the bottom or the top, again, looking at your perspective, and saying, okay, we're not going to go beyond this, because it can get to a point where ghetto is almost like a badge of honor.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know,
I think too that, which is why we're talking about this now. We don't want ratchet to continue to be acceptable, because to the audience member, your wife, Mrs. Jackson, her point, ghetto got acceptable. Now somebody call you ghetto, okay.
right? And
You know,
and here's the thing: you look at '80s, late '80s, early '90s rap, when NWA came out and all this, and when white people were gravitating to that music, they were saying that, oh, I'm gonna be ghetto. I love Ice Cube and I love all these artists because they're from the hood. I'm from the hood. I'm ghetto, and that was like
Yeah.
saying kind of similar. And again, black people set the standards for culture. So they were trying to assimilate to that culture, not even knowing what it meant. And to us, it was being offensive. Like, I live in the hood, but I'm not ghetto. You know what I'm saying? But you were trying to be ghetto. So now I think it's the same thing. Now we've ratcheted it up. See, wordplay.
Clever. I like it. I like it.
And now they want to be ratchet. But again, we're setting the cultural standard for that.
but see, they know they can come back from that, you know,
Exactly.
but we can't.
They can
So,
turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
B, your response to the question?
Kind of like you were alluding to, I think it's a cultural thing, because you like 80s, early 2000s, maybe the 2010s, ghetto was the topic, right? Then you move forward, the TikTok Gen Z area is ratchet. I think eventually some of this stuff unfortunately gets set in stone, and it might become a dinosaur term. We might not hear ghetto in 20 more years from now. Ratchet might be the only thing that hangs around. And then my fear is, what's the next thing, which is the next level. Because a lot of terms in history, they come and go, and then gets replaced by something else. So I think 20 years from now, it's not ratchet. I don't know what could possibly be the next word, but I think there's going to be something else that comes and takes its place. And we'll be having that same conversation. How do we become less ABC?
Well, the danger is, and I just was thinking about this because we were having this conversation off camera about how these young guys, 15, 16 years old, are killing each other. and they're using it as a badge of honor.
Mhm.
Like, my side can kill more than your side, and we're gonna
Yeah.
go out and it's like they think that's acceptable. So what level is that? That's a level? Is that ghetto? Is that ratchet? Or is that a level beyond? Because if that's a level beyond, then that's what we're headed toward.
I think I think the ghetto again is the Walmart thing we keep picking at. That's like a kind of disrespect for life, that example we were talking about, because you got somebody at the airport in flip flops and a bonnet. Okay, you're traveling and okay, you could have put on sweats, whatever, yeah. But then we talking about is a badge of honor murdering people. I'm not saying that's the next thing we go to, but I think that's a whole nother world.
But I think it speaks to drawing a line in the sand. That's where we want to make sure that we don't cross over, which is why we're doing, this particular topic, because we see that there's a need for us to, express to people, you don't have to be this way. Because again, my fear has always been once it's gotten normalized, then people don't pay attention to it. They just, that's just
It
how,
exists.
exactly. And I don't want that for our people. So I think we may have another question. Audience.
Yes, my question is
Excuse me, ma'am, could you speak up, please?
going back to your topic, how do we get away from the ratchetness? And I think Brandon made a point. We start off entertaining the ratchet behavior because it's entertaining, it's just for the moment. But I think, in my opinion, if you entertain it at the onset, then it becomes normalized or acceptable. So I feel like, excuse me, we don't entertain it. I mean, it sounds good, it sounds fun at the time, but if you give credence to that behavior, then to your point, it just perpetuates and it goes on and it doesn't go away, it becomes acceptable.
What? And thank you for the comment, ma'am. Fam, that's my wife that was
I was
talking.
gonna say that's Mrs. Mitchell.
See, but I think too that, Carl, as you alluded to earlier, as men, that's an issue that we have to deal with because sometimes we like a little crazy. But then a little crazy becomes a lot of crazy, and now you don't know how to dial it back, and you stuck.
Yeah, too late.
So maybe in the beginning, if we say, okay, this is the line I'm drawing in the sand, I don't want ratchet, then you don't have to worry about it down the road. But I think it's imperative that we all, understand that this is not what we want for our community. We want to do better, because again, I don't like seeing people treating us a particular way, whether it's the police, whether it's white supremacists or whatever the case may be. Because I'll be the first person to say, I have confidence within myself and who I am and what I can do. And I want other people in our community to feel the same way. But because we are behind the eight ball, coming out the womb, we have to deal with stuff. And we don't need, fam, to make this normal in any sense, whether you're ghetto, whether you're ratchet, or whatever the case may be. So I think, we can do better for ourselves. And again, unfortunately, in the political arena that we're in now, our country is so diverse, we're split apart, where you got the Republicans, you got the Democrats, and we going against each other. But again, I don't understand how we've gotten to the point. But again, I'm sick and tired of it.
I think part of that is, and you kind of were alluding to it when you said we're behind the eight ball coming out the womb. I think being ratchet is almost a default to not trying because there's a lot of effort that has to be put into assimilating into the greater society that is the United States of America. If you're black, you're coming into this, you're already going to, like you said, be perceived a certain way. You're already going to be seen. And I don't care if you were black and you were born in a country club setting. If you go out into the larger world, like they said, what do you call a black person with a PhD? A nigga. I mean,
There
that's
you
what they
go.
going. It's
Even
you're
if you're in the
still,
bins.
yeah, you're still viewed that way by a lot of people. So some people say, well, I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna be me, and it's easier to be accepted, almost to fall into that stereotype. If that's a stereotype, if that's what you say I am, okay, I'll just be that. And that way, you already think I'm that anyway. I don't have to fight against anything. I don't have to prove anything to anybody to, say that I'm not that. I'm above that. I'm just as good as you on any playing field. No, I don't feel like it. I just default to whatever you say I
So
am.
you think it's a choice?
For some people, yeah.
I remember though, another episode we talked about being comfortable, right? I think that's a part of it too. 'Cause
Yeah.
comfort is a huge killer. So of course that may be comfortable. That's what you've seen on TV, and that's what you can easily assimilate to. But I think it's gonna take you have to do some reflection. Again, it's like we're talking about fear of failure. Okay, I can be comfortable and be in this state, right? But is that what you really want? Do you want 20 years of that, 30 years? Do you want a lifetime and a family generation coming to that? And of course, that might be a tough upbringing because, like you said, we all come out the gate a little bit behind from our peers. So it can be easy to assimilate into that. But I think it's worth it saying, I want beyond this ratchet
It's definitely
personality.
it's definitely worth it, but some people just don't. And I don't know. I don't know what it is in some. I think some families or some upbringings, they don't push the person to say. Well, first of all, I should say educate. This is where we are. This is why we are where we are. This is not what we are. However, you can be beyond this, and you're expected to be beyond this. That has to be instilled in the home.
True.
A lot of times you can, like I said, if you're young and you have friends on the block, you play, everybody be playing together. But if people down the street are barbecuing, like I said, on the sidewalk, yeah, we cool with them. But when you come back to your house, and we don't do that. And but there's no delineation. They're good people. There's nothing wrong with them, but they don't choose to, for what in whatever situation. I'm just not saying barbecue on the sidewalk means that you're ratchet or anything, but it's just
Holiday.
It is what it is,
ratchet
so
tendencies.
there you
But I'm
go.
just saying, not that those are bad people, but it's more so of there's a higher standard that we have. And to Mrs. Mitchell's point, it has to stop being accepted. And I think once it stops being accepted across, in a wider area, or a wider range, because I know it's not going to be across the board, because we're not a monolithic people.
Yeah, that's a
But
challenge within
it
itself.
needs to be more of a minority situation. And I don't care about your income level. I don't care about your educational background. It doesn't cost you anything to present yourself well, speak better, wear clothes that fit. I mean, it doesn't. That's those are type
Easier
of
said than
things.
done.
Those type of things that are just can be done.
So in our community, one of the things that we used to hold near and dear, which I think we're coming back to it, is the church, spirituality. Can that be a possible solution to us getting to the point where ratchet behavior is unacceptable? Can you imagine if Jesus was walking around and his robe fell off, or he was wearing it sagging, or he had on one sandal?
At Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart.
See, that's a good one. Because again, we talked about before, Jesus wasn't with the best people. So he might have took him in. But when he tried to lead him to better waters.
But that's the thing, like you just said. Even if you're not with the best people, his standard was here.
And they learned from
So I
him.
can talk
so
to
they-
you.
he
We can
pulled
still
them
be
up.
cool.
Yeah, yep.
We can have all kind of discussions, but my standard is still here. So you got to come up to my standard. I'm not gonna go down to yours.
And that's why you get you some ratchet-less friends, so you can see how they living. And okay, you know what? I want to be like that.
Yeah. Through osmosis.
Well, Jesus had ratchet friends too. So.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying they
Yeah,
they learned
Jesus-
from him. So there
he
you
pulled
go.
them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
He was the leader of the group.
I think that having this conversation, fam, is something that y'all probably have at home, but we trying to put it on a platform where ultimately we're doing what we can do to help. So it's not a good look being ratchet, and we trying to draw this line in the sand. Please just stop it. So again,
tomorrow.
Thank you for everybody being here. Remember, we always tell you guys, stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, and stay peaceful. See you guys next time.